Here's a coaching tip. Think about getting so organized that, if you were to leave for a month, you could come back and the team would look just as good, if not better. Well, probably better than when you left. And you never had to contact anybody, call anyone, or do any legwork. The program's basically running from a kind of systematically. I guarantee you, that's how McDonald's franchises run, right? That's how a good office runs. That's how a good construction site runs, because everything is systematic. I know right now I only coach 3 nights a week. I was 4 for 20 years, but I just cut down to 3 nights a week. And I have 19 wrestling practice sites each week. Every week, there's all over the state of Missouri and Illinois, there are 19 Perler Wrestling Academy practices going. And I only teach 3 of those. That means 16 of those run without me. And I contact the coaches probably once every 3 weeks, just to touch base, see how things are going. They send me an attendance every month, and our office manager checks that the attendance, and we have a bookkeeper who takes care of tracking attendance and payment stuff, and then my wife pays these guys. They get paid very well, and the kids love it because now they have a room that has a system in place. So some of our rooms, tonight I've got kids driving 5 hours round trip, probably 5 hours and 15 minutes round trip. That's 9:48 at night. Our practice ends at 9 o'clock. I had kids in there from Jackson, Missouri, Springfield, Illinois. From Jackson, Missouri to Springfield, Illinois is about a 5-hour drive. So they're coming from all directions, right? And I run this practice along with a couple of my coaches. It's our most advanced room. We have a 3.5 page, almost 4-page drill plan. Our regular academies, we have a 1-page drill plan, and they rotate through that every month. They just keep drilling the same drills because, 90% of your points comes from 10% of the wrestling. And that's the same program that, Nick Lee, Zane Richards, Ali Reagan, NCAA champ Drake Houdeshelt, Alan Waters, a 4-time All-American, Daniel Lewis. I could go on and on. A bunch of those kids came through our academy back in the day. Cody Compton, Trevor Fagans, Kyle Bradley, ranked number 5 in the nation in Division I. I don't know, many more. And that drill plan is phenomenal. Well, then now we have an advanced room called the Elite, Perler Wrestling Academy Elite. There's 5 elite rooms, and then we have the World Class Wrestler program. So we have 13 academy rooms, 5 elite rooms, and 1 World Class Wrestler program. The elite room has almost a 3-page drill plan. It's like just over 2.5 pages, right? So it's a more advanced program and faster pace. But it's a year-round room. So we try to make that room year-round. It's only for kids who can train year-round. Once a week, they got to make a commitment. So if you want to play football, fine, but you might have to miss 1 night of football to do wrestling. And if not, then it's just not for you, right? So we don't have an advanced room. And it's not advanced as we don't recruit kids. I have kids in there who have won high school state titles who don't do that room. And I have kids who have won Tulsa Nationals and USA Nationals that don't do that room. And I have kids who have not qualified for state, but they're tough, that are in that room. So elite, I don't care if you're elite or not. I want the elite commitment. And a lot of kids, they're very committed kids. They just have other interests, and that's fine. If you want to be a 2-sport, 3-sport athlete in high school, then they drop out of our program completely because they can't wrestle with us during the high school year. It's a Missouri rule. And then they're in football and baseball or whatever. So I lose them forever, which is fine. I want them to do what they want to do. But an elite program basically has more of a drill plan, and that's for your more advanced kids. So I would encourage you to follow my suit and try to get very organized. If you had a system, there's something called an alien abduction manual. If you were to get abducted by aliens, is there a manual on your desk that somebody could grab and say, okay, I've got to run this thing, right? I heard this once, it made sense. If you don't think you're replaceable, just drive by a cemetery. Everybody's replaced, right? So you want to be replaceable. You say, I still want to be the coach. Well, good. But just think if you had a recruiting system in place for getting new youth wrestlers. You had a youth training program, a practice plan in place, one head coach and maybe 1 or 2 assistants, and they could train somebody along as their kids move up. Then maybe even one day you had an advanced youth program. Then you had your middle school program. Some states have middle school, Missouri does not. Then you had your high school room. Your high school room has a freshman division, a JV, and a varsity. You might say, well, our JV and varsity practices together. That's what I did when I was a high school coach. But your freshman room, that might be the same drill plan as your elite youth room or as your middle school plan. So some of these drill plans can be used in other areas. Because I don't care if you're 14 or 15 years old, if you're a beginner, you need to do the same drill plan that a beginner youth wrestler needs. You need to learn how to do a half Nelsons and stuff, right? So it's not that complicated. You don't need 17 practice plans. 4 would probably do it. 3, you can probably get by with 2. But once you have your coaches in line and they're teaching the way you teach, they're all on the same board that no, we're not going to take 25 minutes to show one wrestling move. We're not going to give a speech every 5 seconds. Some coaches are really into that. We're not going to make the kids run 45 minutes of practice. No, we're going to wrestle. That's it, right? It's the reason the Brazilians are so good at soccer. They do futsal, F-U-T-S-O-L, futsal. And that's an indoor sport where it's 3-on-3. They have a little heavy ball, and their foot is in contact with that ball nonstop. They're constantly involved with developing skills. And now futsal's popped up all over the nation as a training aid for soccer. Well, same with wrestling. If your kids are constantly engaged with wrestling non-stop, they're going to get better. So make sure your coaches have the same philosophy on that as well. They're not just into the conditioning BS side of it. If you drill the way we're going to make them drill, they're going to be in shape, right? So they're not only running the plan the same way, they're teach the way you teach. Every technique is broken down into steps. The practice everything's the same, right? And if you have situations, that's the same. One coach might want to come in and say, no, it's off season, we're going to play some games. We're going to play ankle tag. No, we don't play ankle tag. Coach, that's not what we do. They can do that on their own time, right? And if you like ankle tag, then you just make sure everyone does it, right? But as a head coach, you have to set these parameters because some coaches are laid back and you want to have a success machine. That's what I want. That's the reason we have 19 locations. My goal is to have 30 here before long. I think I'll have 25 very soon. Just because we like to expand and have more kids involved, and we want to be just a monster where I can sit back and watch NCAAs one day and have 30 of our former athletes. And not that they didn't have other great coaches and stuff. They come to our great camp. They go to other great camps. But it would be awesome. That's just kind of something I would like to have one day, right? But for you to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to take a day off, I'm going to take my daughter to the park, right? Or sometimes you just say, I'm going to sit in the office and do paperwork. There's times like next Tuesday, I'll have practice and Ty Lathan will run practice. I won't even run it. I'm going to have him run it. I've done that a few times, right? So I'm going to be at practice and I can get a little more personal with the kids and help them individually, and he's going to run practice. So sometimes you might do that also. It'd be nice to have a break, right? And the kids like it too. But the thing is this, I think it's the Catholic Church. No matter where you're at, when you're in Mass, all over the nation, the Mass is the same. It's systematic, right? McDonald's, whether you're eating a McDonald's in Moscow or a McDonald's in the US or a McDonald's in Alabama or Arkansas or New York. It's the same. Your wrestling program should be the same as well. So how do you do this? Basically, write out a practice plan. You come out with your teaching methods, your philosophies, your hand fighting and stuff, and then, you know, maybe the conditioning that you implement, what times of the year you do conditioning, your freestyle program. Are you going to do it for 5 months? I wouldn't. You're going to do a short, quick freestyle program. You might not do freestyle at all. I wouldn't do freestyle at all for my JV kids who do not want to wrestle in college. They're not going to wrestle in the off season much because they're 3-sport athletes. They don't need to do freestyle. I would make sure they did not do freestyle. But maybe your more advanced high school kids that are year round, they do a freestyle program. So everything needs to be thought out. And if you're interested in what we do, it's the online wrestling academy, perlawrestling.com. And you can use the basics program, your drill plan. That'd be perfect for your youth and your advanced youth and also your beginner high school. Then you use the phase 1 drill plan. It's on there. Print it off and use it. The technique videos are there. They're broken down into steps, and that would be what you could use for your super advanced youth and middle school and your high school varsity team. And you could also add the phase 2 for your super advanced high school if you needed to go to an advanced high school drill plan too. So their practice plans are already there, plug and chug. So if you had interest, you can check that out. It's just $179 up front and $14 a month. So very affordable, and it was a massive undertaking, both time-wise and also financially on our part. So it's a very good price, $14 a month basically. And you know, that's a good option as well. It's also good for kids to use at home and dads to use at home with their kids. So you can check that out if you had interest. If not, you can make your own. Good luck. Check us out at perlawrestling.com.